Hello everyone. So the next topic which we will be discussing here is about the bioenergetics. So bioenergetics is a field of biochemistry and cell biology that concerns energy flow through the living system. What is it? It is the study of the energy transfers within the living thing. So this is what is the definition or a short definition of the bioenergetics. So why are we studying bioenergetics? So bioenergetics is basically the understanding of the metabolism which provides the directions to better understand that how the skeletal muscles they generate the energy and how and why the body responds to exercise the way it does. So when we are doing exercise, so how the muscles they're generating the energy. So give that a better direction and to give that a better understanding, there is a need to study the bioenergetics because it is the study of metabolism which is being aided by studying the bioenergetics. So, bioenergetics it is an active area of biological research that includes the study of the transformation of energy in living organisms and the study of thousands of different cellular processes such as cellular respiration and the many other metabolic and enzymatic processes that leads to the production and utilization of energy in forms such as ATP molecules. That is the goal of the bioenergetics. That is, it is to describe how living organisms they acquire and transform the energy in order to perform the biological processes. So, the study of metabolic, the study of metabolic pathways is called as the bioenergetics. Now, there are two types of reactions which are being depicted in the bioenergetics, that is the exergenic reaction and the androgenic reaction. Now what are these? So first if I talk about the exergenic reactions, then it is a spontaneous chemical reaction that releases the energy. So it is thermodynamically favored indexed by a negative value of Gibbs free energy, that is the delta G. So over the course of this reaction, energy needs to be put in, and this is the activation energy which drives the reactant from a stable state to a energetically unstable transition state to a highly energetically unstable transition state to a more stable state that is lower in energy. So the reactants they are usually complex and they are broken into simpler products. So the entire reaction is generally catabolic. So the release of energy is negative because the energy of the reactant is higher than that of the product. So this was about the exergenic. Now the next comes is the androgenic reaction. So it is a anabolic chemical reaction that consumes energy. So it was the exergenic was the catabolic, but the androgenic is the anabolic reaction that consumes the energy. It is the opposite of an exergenic reaction and it has a positive Gibbs free energy, that is it has a positive delta G for instance, because here delta H is just this is the condition here, which means that it takes more energy to break the bonds of the reactant than the energy of the product which offer. That is the product they have weaker bonds than that of the reactants. So they are this reaction, particular reaction is thermodynamically unfavorable and will not occur on their own at a constant temperature. Additionally, androgenic reactions are usually anabolic in nature. So this is what is the types of the reaction. The next comes is the laws of the bioenergetics. So there are two laws which are being stated in the bioenergetics. The first law consists of that energy can neither be created and it can be changed from one form to the another. So bioenergetics, which is a part of the biochemistry and is concerned with the energy which is involved in making and breaking of the chemical bonds in the molecules that is found in the organisms. So this is the example here, that is sight. So there is a light, then chemical, and then the electrical signals are being sent. In muscle contraction, there is a chemical and then the mechanical uh, bioenergetics which is being used. Action potentials, chemical, and then it is being converted to electrical. Vitamin D, light to chemical, and sweating or change of the state, it will lead to the water, and then it will convert into water vapors. So these are the this is the law of the bioenergetics. So life is dependent on the energy transformation. Living organisms survive because of exchange of energy between living cells, tissues, and outside the environment. And some organisms, such as autotrophs, that require energy from the sunlight without needing to consume nutrients and break them down. Other parts or other organisms like heterotrophs must intake nutrients from the food and able to sustain energy by breaking down the chemical bonds in nutrient during metabolic processes such as glycolysis and the citric acid cycle. So this is what is the law of bioenergetics. The next is the next law of bioenergetics is energy will be transferred, able to proceed in the direction of increased entropy and the release of free energy. So example here is there is a substrate and there is a release of energy. There will be heat, then the light will increase, the entropy will increase, the free energy will increase, and the cell will work and it will give us the product. So this is what is known as the second law of the law of bioenergetics. So next I will talk about is the examples of the bioenergetic process. So these are some of the major bioenergetic processes. For example, glycolysis. So what is happening in glycolysis? Breaking, it is the breaking down of glucose into pyruvate. It is breaking down of glucose into pyruvate and producing two molecules of ATP in the process, and it will produce two molecules of ATP in the process. So when a cell has a higher concentration of ATP than ADP, the cell cannot undergo glycolysis, releasing energy from available glucose to perform the biological work. So pyruvate is the pyruvate, which is the one of the product of glycolysis that can be shuttered into other metabolic pathways. The next is about gluconeogenesis. It is the opposite of the glycolysis. It is the opposite of the glycolysis. So when the cell's energy is low, the cell must synthesize glucose from carbon containing biomolecules such as proteins, amino acids, pyruvate, etc. So if I take an example here, then example will be proteins that can be broken down into amino acids, and these simpler carbon skeletons are used to build to synthesize the glucose. So this is what is known as the gluconeogenesis. The next is about the citric acid cycle, which is the process of the what is the process it consists of? It is the process of the cellular respiration. So in which the acetyl coenzyme A is being synthesized from the pyruvate dehydrogenase, which is the first reacted with oxaloacetate to yield the citrate. So this is about the citric acid cycle. The next is about ketosis. So it is a metabolic process whereby ketone bodies are used by the cells for energy. So cells often turn to ketosis as a source of energy when glucose levels are low. So it is during the starvation. The next is about the oxidative phosphorylation. It is the process where the energy stored in a relatively weak double bonds of O2 is released in a controlled manner and in the electron transport chain. This is the oxidative phosphorylation. Photosynthesis, which is a major biosynthetic. So it is a major bioenergetic process, and it is major bioenergetic process, and it is a metabolic pathway which is being used by the plants, in which solar energy is used to synthesize the glucose from carbon dioxide and water. So this reaction takes place in the chloroplast, and after the glucose is synthesized, the plant cells will undergo photophosphorylation to produce the ATP. So these are some of the major examples of the bioenergetic process. So yes, this was all about the bioenergetics. These are some of the references. Thank you.